following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
What's up, Antman?
What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing great. It was a busy weekend. How was yours?
You know, living the dream, man. Got away, got down to the family farm and spent some time with the wife and the kids and all that fun jizzy jazz. You know.
Nice. Family time's important, huh?
Yeah, man. What's up, Peter? Galveston County, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. Had to make sure I shout that fella out right there.
Nice. That's actually my mother is from that area in Texas, so that's pretty crazy. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, how is the whole reptile biz going? Staying busy?
Oh, it's blowing up. It's huge. It's a big deal here. So, I mean, I can't ask for anything more. We went to all the way down to Bowling Green this weekend. It was like a 5.5-hour drive.
Is that
It was
like down, up, sideways? I don't know.
So it's I would say southwestish kind of, because it's like in that area where it almost meets Indiana, as you know. Yeah.
The Cheeks are in the house.
Oh yeah.
Mr.
Nice.
Last week's winner. What's up, man? How's it going? Carolyn Pack in there. My man Thomas as well. So we got a cool show tonight. We got a bunch of cool mofos coming to hang out with us this evening. Roxy, you want to break it down for them?
All right. So we've got like 2 segments happening tonight. So the first segment is about the J. Brady Icon Music Center, which recently opened, and they had plans to open before COVID, but unfortunately COVID kind of shut them down a little bit and prolonged that opening. But they're downtown Cincinnati. They just opened, and they're bringing in some huge acts. They have had 2 shows recently. The last show last week was Foo Fighters and BRADY. And so I was interested in finding out some perspectives on what people thought about this, because it is right downtown and it's a beautiful setup. So I thought I'd bring on a couple of my friends, our buddies, me and your buddies, to find out their reviews on it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm down. I'm always down to hear what the people have to say.
Yes. All right. So with that being said, I've got Ryan and I have Matt.
Hello.
So first I'm going to start off with Ryan. What was your review of the J. Brady Icon Music Center? What did you feel about it?
I thought it was a pretty cool venue, actually. It was a little different than what I'm used to, because I'm not used to a venue that has an outdoor stage and an indoor stage kind of like together like that. It's not exactly together, but it's like they're pretty close together. So, but the lawn part kind of like a lot smaller than what I thought.
So they have an indoor and outdoor venue, definitely.
Yeah.
Matt, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was a great venue. It is different than any venue I've been to because there's no seats anywhere. It was all general admission and just basically a giant lawn. But great atmosphere. It's like you said, backs up right to the city, so the background is beautiful as you're watching a show. Had a great time.
Wow.
Nice. And what did you feel like there was there anything that were considered flaws?
Talking to me or him?
Either one.
Okay. You can go first, John.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I didn't have really many complaints. There's a parking garage right underneath the venue, so it's really easy access. You park 5 minutes later, you're at the gate. We were able to get in really fast. We got there right when the gates opened. There was a long line, but we were within the venue probably in 5 minutes, and tons of beer booths. Maybe the one thing that was a little bit lacking was food. They had a Skyline where you could get Skyline conies, but that was really the only food there. But other than that, I mean, service was great. There's plenty of security and police around, so you felt safe the whole time. Crowd acted great, so thumbs up for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree what he says. Everything seemed pretty well. The only thing that was kind of weird is you had to, like, for taking like card and stuff, you had to go inside. They made you like go inside underneath this weird tunnel. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out how to get inside the place. There wasn't really a sense of direction on how to get inside.
Yeah.
Ryan, you're a photographer, right?
Yeah, what's up?
How was your take on the venue from a photographer standpoint?
I didn't photograph that show, but it looked like it'd be like any other venue. They got their own photo pit and everything, so I won't know until I get a actual pass to shoot a big band there.
Right on.
That's as far as I know about that part goes.
Well, I hope you get in there. I'm sure you will, because you're all over the place doing your photography. So I appreciate your guys' reviews. Ryan, can you drop some links and tell us everybody where we can find you?
Yeah, it's I'll have to put in the comments, but I'm under Ryan Schwab, my personal one. And you can also find me I'll put in the comments here. It's www.facebook.com/Schwab's Photography, where you can find all my photos and everything else I've posted.
Awesome. Thank you. And hey, Matt, drop us your link or tell us what you do, because you're in my intro. So give that a little feedback too.
Well, I play drums in a band called Life After This, local rock band here in the Cincinnati area. You can check us out, lifeafterthis.com. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, Spotify. We've got videos, songs out there. We got a show coming up here in September. We're going to be playing with Drowning Pool up at the Blue Note. So we got tickets at our store. Come check us out.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. So everybody go drop them a follow and a like and share. All right, so let's get back to RA Nation. Let's give a grounding on what we do.
Yeah, man. So, we do this thing every Monday where we just, show up and do a pot. No. So we hit on some serious industry topics every Monday, and this Monday is no different. Tonight we have a sound engineer coming in, and I believe Roxy has more details on who and what else he does. But from what I've checked out, pretty sound quality, good guy, man. And looking forward to hearing what he has to say tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely a great guy. Before that, I want to kind of give out some information with I have an update. So we're working with IMS, Integrated Music Solutions, and they're going to be donating tickets to shows of theirs. So in the future, we're definitely going to be doing some contest giveaways. So stay tuned for that. You might find somebody that you really want to listen to, and you're going to win free tickets to a show just by tuning in and participating. We love all your comments. Please feel free to comment anytime. You can find us on the RA Nation Facebook podcast group. Just look it up. And then also Music Familiar Productions. Go to our YouTube page. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe that, because that's important to us, just as it's important to you to learn and grow with us as
look what I can do now.
Fancy comments.
Gotta promote us, like not always,
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So I'm excited about where we're going and the whole summer going in. Incarceration is around the corner.
It is. It is. Yes. I'm hoping to have some special things happening with that. So everybody's got to stay tuned for that.
Yes.
So, being with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guest tonight, C.W. Goetz. After 40 years, he, as a performing drummer, inventor, and a master drum builder, C.W. retired from the music business to pursue a career in radio. In the 1990s, Goetz was among the first generation of master drum builders in the U.S. to manufacture custom-made tropical hardwood snare drums utilizing the radial stack design. Goetz custom drums were sold and distributed to 6 continents in the 1990s, and having been played by recording artists like the late Neil Peart of Rush, Jason Bonham of Sammy Hagar and the Circle, Bunny Carlos of Cheap Trick, Barrett Deems of the Louis Armstrong Orchestra, Louis Belson of Count Basie Orchestra, Gunnar Nelson of Nelson Brothers, and Max Weinberg of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band. Goetz
See, they said my mic's low, Roxy. They're attacking me in the chat.
Yeah, I told you that in the backstage. To continue, Goetz custom drums also can be seen or heard on national network TV shows like Late Night with David Letterman by drummer Anton Fig and The Tonight Show with Jay Leno by drummer Marvin Smitty Smith. So aside from manufacturing and performing, Goetz also owned and operated Midwest Custom Drum Repair, which was one of the international full-service custom percussion repair shops in the world in the early 1990s. So he's had a lot to do with the music scene in the past. Yeah. So C.W. Goetz, let's bring him on, and then you can bring up your sound.
Working on it.
Good evening, Roxy and Antman. How you guys doing, man?
What's going on,
Hello,
man?
hello.
Turn the tunes I've got on here down. I just realized that I had the radio playing. Hey, glad to be here. You guys sound great. So love your show.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Do I was kind of cutting in and out here. I've been hearing am I coming through loud and clear here or no?
You are coming in loud and clear.
Okay,
so
good. I was hearing spotty.
I do all the a lot of the engineering in this, so I've been trying to fix this and make it all perfect, and it's
right. Yeah, that's quite a job. Quite a job. Absolutely.
It is.
So, yeah, go ahead.
What's going on with you lately, CW? What have you been up to?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have been busier. This is an old guy's busier than a one-arm paper hanger, man. I mean, I've been spending too much time in the office and not out doing what I talk about on my radio show, which is outdoor recreation. And I just made my way to the river yesterday for the first time in several weeks. And so I was like, man, I got to get out here and do this, So I'm glad I did. But planning a little mini vacation, if you will, nothing extravagant, but got to get out of here and do something outdoors just the same. How about yourself? What have you guys been doing?
Roxy, you first.
Oh, I've been doing the reptile thing. I've been dealing with attacks from centipedes and traveling 5.5 hours to sell reptiles, and I'm doing really well with that business. But
Roxy, were there any venomous beings in your recent escapades to other places? I mean that's got to be dangerous work that you do. Seriously dangerous.
Yeah.
It is, so here's the story. I got to tell you guys the story because I've already told CW earlier, and I already told Antman earlier and a few other people, but
I'm sorry. The shit's hilarious. I'm sorry. It's horrible.
Well, the rest of us are worried about COVID, and Roxy's like, okay, so I got COVID and I got venomous animals here that I got to worry about. That's like double trouble, double threat, right?
so yeah, we can't sell venomous snakes at all in Ohio or the surrounding states, but we can sell venomous centipedes and scorpions with no worries. And
No,
so we had a venomous centipede in the vehicle as we were traveling to our reptile shows. And so the centipede, I don't know how it got loose because we're usually really secure with them, but it got loose. And I'm driving down the highway. Next thing I hear is my fella Kirk, he was sitting in the passenger seat sleeping actually, and he woke up and goes, "Centipede!" And so I have to go to a stop, jump over 3 lanes in the highway, and there's just giant, like 4-inch centipede crawling around our vehicle, and we're jumping out because this thing will mess your day up, mess multiple of your days up. And it was the craziest thing that we've never had to deal with before, and we finally got dealt with.
Wow. And so, how's the centipede, Uncle Larry? Centipede going to be okay?
The centipede's fine. We were able to obtain him and put him back in his enclosure properly, and that will never happen again. You live and you learn.
Doesn't
Well,
matter
actually,
how
why does
much.
that sound like a Larry Lujak animal story right there?
That Larry Luback man. Hey, are you still making drums?
Hey, no. But hey, I know that lady right there, Miss Rebel.
do
How you
know
doing,
that.
Rebel? I'm not making drums anymore. Not anymore. I gave the company to actually just sold the equipment to my apprentice, and he is building drums, the same exact kind of drums. I mean, the hardware's a little different. The loops are a little different, but same type of drums under his own name, Latz drums, Laatz. But yeah, not anymore. But I enjoyed it while I did.
Let's tell everybody about how you got into building drums and what you've done. You've done a lot of great things.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, when I was, and I don't know even, it was like 1993. Excuse me, 1993. I started this drum shop, and there was no one around in my immediate area, nor the Chicagoland area, that would actually repair drums, do custom repairs, do customizing, and things like that. And by that, I don't just mean paint jobs, but things like you had a crack shell, or you had some problems, some hardware problems. We could actually get you new hardware, right from Tama or Ludwig, and anything, Gretsch, Slingerland. So I started that shop. Actually, I cleaned cymbals. I invented a machine that cleaned cymbals, and so we had that service as well too, or as well rather. But we had, there's the machine. You just passed it up. Go backward picture, and
It's not
that's the
showing
machine.
the whole
You
thing.
can't see the top of it. Yeah. Well, the top of it's kind of a disc, but or a cylinder. This is a picture here of gluing what we would call the glue rings in the drum that get placed on the top and the bottom of the drum. It's just a reinforcement ring. That's all it is. We call those glue rings. Yeah, that's the price. In fact, that was a steam bent drum there. And I don't know if I sent you pictures of the steamer or not. I may or may not have.
I've got the steam right here.
And there's a picture of me. Now there's my steamer. Wow. Yeah, I'm only getting part of the picture. But it really, what it is 2 55-gallon drums put together and a burner underneath. And yeah, the picture there that didn't make it all the way on the screen, that was me bending a drum, steam bending a drum. But yeah, so we went through all that. And just shortly after I started that business, I said, you know something, I always had a problem with snare drums. I bought a lot of snare drums. I bought a lot of new snare drums. I bought used ones, vintage ones. It didn't matter. And I hated the sound. I mean, I didn't hate it. I wasn't satisfied with it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to build my own drum. So I did a little research and learned about a term called tone woods. There are certain woods that have a tonal quality to them that others don't have. There are categories: number 1 tone wood, number 2, and so on. Tropical hardwoods rated among the top, number 1 tone woods. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build drums out of tropical hardwood. I'm going to get the sound that I want. And through some trial and error, I did just that. And My first customer was Neil Peart from Rush, if you can believe that or not, right? What a way
Nice.
to start. I know. So I had a friend in East Hampton, Massachusetts, who he and I worked together. He actually started doing this way before I did. Well, not way before, but before, sometime before I did. And I ended up actually going on helping him teach a class out there for drum building. And but he gave me a tip on Neil Peart from Rush. He was at a NAMM show, and I think it was like 1996, I believe. And he said, Neil Peart's looking for a drum. And I overheard his drum tech, Larry Allen, talking. And he said, he's looking for someone to build this Cocobolo drum that checked into the warehouse but didn't check out. So somewhere it got stolen. So I actually built him a drum. And I forget how long it took me, but in the process, I spoke with Larry Allen several times on the phone. And at one point, I learned that my drum and 35 or 36 other drum companies, private and majors, in other words, like custom builders like myself, and the majors like the Ludwigs and the Slingerlands and the Tamas and the Yamaha and all that kind of stuff. Those guys were trying to sell him their drum, or trying to interest him in their drum. He picked mine and a fella named, I believe it was Gene D'Amico. We both made him drums. Gene made him a stave Cocobolo. I made him a radial stack Cocobolo. So he liked the sound of both of them, but he chose mine and Gene's over, I think it was 36 other manufacturers. So I was pretty proud about that.
Nice.
So, yeah. It was my first major sale. My first major cut. Yeah.
What was your most favorite piece of wood to work with? I know a lot of people work, with birch or even beech, maple or oak. What was your personal favorite?
Kingwood,
Yeah.
which was, I believe, from Brazil. Yeah.
Hmm.
We made drums out of Cocobolo, Cocobolo, African Paduke, Gabon ebony, Brazilian rosewood, tulip wood, beautiful looking wood, and beautiful sounding wood. And when you sand this stuff, it's really weird, but when you sand it, it almost smells like perfume. It's just amazing. Kingwood, snakewood, which you have to be careful with snakewood because it's got gum pockets. You really have to be careful with that. Said African Paduke, which, by the way, make marimba bars out of. So
mango wood?
Yeah.
Have you done
mango,
that?
I'm not familiar with mango. Believe it or not, I know a lot of wood, and I don't know mango wood. But I would tell you this: my favorite sounding wood is here's one more, Wenge, and Wenge is from Australia, and Babinga. I don't know if it's from Babinga. My favorite sounding wood is Kingwood. It's got the right tone for me. I like the way it looks. I like the way it sounds. Wenge, by the way, Wenge. We were building one of those drums, and I had it in the lathe, and we took a little bit too big a bite out of that drum, out of that shell, and a big hunk of it went flying off right past my head. And it was almost like it shattered. It was so hard, wicked hard, as they say on the East Coast, wicked hard and brittle that I almost got it in the face. But it sounds like a metal drum. Wenge is that hard. It sounds like a metal drum, but it's very cool. And I should have brought a drum up here. I mean, I could go down and grab it, I guess. But
yeah, Mike's right. Mike is absolutely right. That stuff does explode.
Is he talking about Wenge? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's brittle. It's wicked hard, as they say in the East Coast.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. And aside from the building the drums, I've worked with different drummers, like from Foghat, Mitch Ryder in the Detroit Wheels, Badfinger, stuff like that. I actually, I've spent a lot of time in the studio, not only recording, but being a drum tech with other drummers, kits, and I even actually did some producing on an album we put out with my last band, which I think was like 1993, 100,000 years ago. I've been to music business seminars. We learned about the business end of things. So I've kind of got sort of a reasonable full scope of different aspects of the music business. So that's kind of the background that I come from. Got a couple of things on it. Roxy, you had asked me, you said, hey, talk about, the different sides of the music biz, from the performers to the venue managers or club owners or what have you, of some things that I've observed and learned in my day. Is that what you still want me to do?
Absolutely. That's something I definitely want to address for, again, different sides of the industry. This is a directive towards venue owners, musicians coming in, promoters, sound engineer guys. So everybody can reflect on some topics here that we're going to discuss, because you've done it for so long.
Yeah, 100,000 years. When you're 157 years old, you look at what I mean. And you a picture. Show them what I used to look like when I wasn't so ugly.
Yeah, we've got awesome.
Yeah. You got a picture of there with long hair. There you go. See, that hair helped hide a lot of ugly, man, back then. Now I can't grow it anymore. The stuff's falling out. So
yeah.
There's a Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick. One of the few drum pictures that I have with an artist. Actually, it wasn't a picture taker, and it wasn't like, this is back in, like, I don't even know what year that was, 97 or something like that or whatever.
It's such an intimate process, building drums for somebody. It's a very intimate thing, like they're trusting you, like, with this perfect being kind of thing,
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of intimate, I was intimate with the machinery the machinery and the layout tools. And I'm telling you, we did a little, start to finish on a drum, on a custom drum like that. And of course, it doesn't matter if it's 8 inches or 6 or whatever. You're generally speaking about 14 hours labor, hand built drum. And there's a whole story about why I didn't continue. But it involved, at the time, which probably doesn't seem like much now, but it was a 60,000 plus.
Oh, we're getting some lagging from CW here. He's out in Indiana in the middle of nowhere. So, blame
it on the internet.
The intranet. Ugh.
Ah, man. Just getting good.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm still on. I saw little circles go. It was about a $60,000 investment with gun drills, air drills that would come in all at the same time, and we could do this on sort of a production scale. And I said, man, I just couldn't swing the investment back then. And but anyway, so hand built everything. It took about 14 hours on the average to build a drum.
Wow.
So I got very intimate with the layout tools and all the hand sanding, and there was some machine sanding, of course, done, but cutting snare beds. And when you cut a snare bed, you do that by hand. There's no machine that comes in and goes zip, done. So that's all handwork, and you have to lay it out by hand, and it's hand formed with a rasp.
Mike Bates says it's too much pressure for perfection, and that's exactly what it is. You have to have perfection, or you're not going to get that sound that you're looking for.
Well, let me tell you something. You become an alcoholic at some point, because after you do this all day, you get done. You're having some beers. I'm telling you, or whatever. But you do. Sometimes it gets pretty intense, especially when you're dealing with wood. That some of the wood. This is at that time cost like $70 a board foot. You say, what's a board foot? Well, a board foot is 12 inches wide by 12 inches long by 1 inch thick. And now everybody knows that you don't get 1 inch thick anymore. You get 7/8 inch thick or whatever it is. But that's considered a board foot. So that's $70. And usually it would take one board foot to do a full ring on a drum. So you get about almost 1 inch ring. So if you had an 8-inch ring or 8-inch drum rather, and you've got 8 rings and you've got $70 per board foot, it takes one board foot to make an inch, a ring. That's $560 just in material, and they even started. You haven't even started anything. So the drums are very expensive. It gets intense. Yeah. And you drink a few beers after you get done with a day's work. And if you screw up, it's like, oh boy, it's intense. Especially if you're almost toward the end. You really have to be careful.
Let's
so that's
slide
kind of how I go.
into the sound production of everything and making everything smooth.
Yeah.
So Antman's excited. He's done sound, when you slide into a venue, what are you looking for with sound? What are your key elements here?
Well, I'll tell you, can I approach this from a little different way that might be a little more beneficial? All right.
Yeah.
Here are some things that, when I was in the music biz, and maybe things have changed now. I haven't been to a club for a while, but I can tell you this. One of the things that was really annoying when you would come into a club, there's two things. First of all, well, actually three. First of all, there were places, and back then we didn't have adequate power. We would blow breakers, fuses, whatever. The guys, maybe there weren't enough outlets. We had to run what we called it a power weasel. So you'd plug in one and you'd have 15 outlets, all this kind of crap. That was number one. And the second thing is the club owners would put us in a corner that maybe the stage had been there since 1956. And they had a 3-piece band. One was an accordion and the other one was, a drummer. But he had like 2 drums. He had a bass drum, he had a snare drum, maybe he had a cymbal. Okay. The stage was just way undersized. Okay. I mean, we got a 5-piece band and this stage wouldn't even accommodate my drum kit, right? That was a huge pet peeve, always. The third thing, we would go into a club and it just sounded horrible. I mean, and we're not talking about any volume at all issues, because that was always an issue. But the club just had rotten, terrible acoustics. And the club owner had no idea. He just thought, oh, the band doesn't sound very good tonight. Or the bands don't sound very good in here. Right. I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
I think club owners need to be educated, or as I say, edumacated, about acoustics. There are things called bass traps. There are things that by the way, bass traps keep that boom, boom, boom rumble to a minimum. There are just acoustic tiles, acoustic ceiling tiles. I mean, acoustic foam. There's all kind of products out there, and they're not $1 million. Okay. They used to be, but they're not anymore, that club owners can do to make their place more acoustically, inviting, if you will. Okay. That's the club owners thing. Make sure the band's got plenty of power too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be blowing fuses and all of a sudden you're in the middle of the first set, bam, the lights go out, and it's just not cool.
That happened at the Alrosa a few times.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hardcore rock metal, bang, 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 boom.
It's embarrassing for a band, and it doesn't make the club look good either. So it's a lose-lose situation. Those are the 3 big things that I can tell you on a club owner's side of thing. On the band side, I can tell you this. I'm not a guitarist. I've worked with guitar sounds. I've mixed guitar sounds. I've recorded them in the studio. There's a lot to be said for what you can do for a guitar sound. A lot of equipment, a lot of electronic stuff out there that wasn't available when I was recording. But I can tell you this is from a drum aspect. There are a lot of things you can do inexpensively to make your drum kit sound 100% better than what most of them sound. And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, I'll tell you a little story, and I'm not going to tell you what bands this pertain to, but these are international recording artists.
We got to talk offline for sure.
No, I mean, I'm serious. These are international recording artists. And their drums sounded like shit. And I'm sorry, I'm swearing your show.
You're fine.
But they sounded horrible. And I'm like, okay, these guys are phenomenal drummers. I mean, maybe they weren't phenomenal, all of them, but some of them were. Some of them are still very good, leaps and bounds better than I was, or whatever. But they didn't know diddly about making their drums sound good. They just didn't. And it just made me go, what the hell? How do you play so well and not know anything about how terrible your drums sound? And so I'd help them. And they go, wow, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? And, what'd you put on my heads? I'll tell you what, you can do a lot with a roll of toilet paper and some duct tape.
Do tell more.
Amen.
I mean, it's not the whole roll.
No.
Toilet paper and duct tape, or paper towels and duct tape. You can do a lot with them. And there's a thing with felt strips on a bass drum. Third of the way up from the bottom, go across the bass drum, duct tape it on there, just the old felt strip, from marching band, but don't take it out to the bearing edges. You about an inch short, inch from each bearing edge. Telling you, tape it on 1/3 of the way up from the bottom. Sounds beautiful. I don't care what head you're using. Doesn't matter. You can use a Remo Weather King light coated battery. It doesn't matter.
Don't stuff your ears with them.
Stuff your ears with what's that, toilet paper?
Don't do that.
With a duct tape, right? But anyway, your sound matters a lot. And most guys don't pay attention. Most drummers don't really pay attention to their sound. They think, study it, learn it, experiment with your drum sound. You'd be surprised. Spend a little time with your drums, tune them, detune them, tune them up again, find the sweet spot. Every drum's got a sweet spot. So those are some things that I can tell you that are super annoying on the club owner's end, and then, of course, on the musician's end. Another thing was always a problem. And back me up on this, Antman. Volume.
Dude. We could totally go all day, between the sound and the divas and the process to get to that happy place that we all want to be at. It takes a village, man. And
absolutely,
people walk in and they're just like, I want this and I want this. I'm like, okay, great. Well, are you ready for this and this?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's do it right now. Oh, okay.
And one of the things when you talk about volume, you don't have to be loud to be good. In fact, stage volume works way against you in regard to how you sound out front. Yeah. Because what happens is you just made your sound engineer, front of the house man, okay? You made his job 10 times harder than it has to be. Have a reasonable volume on stage and let your sound man control what goes out front. That's the way it's supposed to work. Now you've got control of the situation rather than a band being so loud that now the sound man, front of house guy, is competing. The PA is competing with stage volume. And venue owners, club owners hate that. Now, if you're playing the Whiskey A Go-Go or the Troubadour, it's a hell of a lot different story than it is playing the 9th Street Pub or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of the things the drummers are going, well, how the hell do you, well, here, look, I'll tell you what, this is the magazine. In 1996, I was on this magazine or in the magazine, Modern Drummer. What year does that say? I think it was what month does that say? November, I think. It's up there somewhere. Yeah, here it is.
April.
Yeah, April 96.
Wow.
And the article, and you can see this, and this is interesting, and I am going to brag on this because I guess I can. Here's the drum that I sent them, and this is the hell this is going to work here. Okay, where the hell am I at? I can't see it. I'm going to have to back it off. The Goetz Purple Heart snare drum. Here's a picture of the drum.
Mm-hmm.
That's 24 karat gold plated hardware. Yeah, there's the drum right there. Okay, now let me show you. Here's the braggy part. This is what my pop would say. By the way, I'll tell you about that in a second. So everybody gets a what's hot and a what's not. Okay, I'm going to show you another one if I can find it. Maybe I can't. Everybody gets a what's hot and what's not. In fact, you know what? Yeah, here's one right here. The UFIP symbols. What's hot, what's not. I only got a what's hot. And then somebody brought that to my attention. I go, wow, really? That's so freaking cool. So I do know what I'm talking about as far as sound in those drums, as far as drum sounds go. It's really important. You don't think it's important, but trust me, people in the audience know. And that's why when bands with more experience roll into the place, people go, ooh,
Yeah.
they sound so great, because they know they've learned those mistakes. They've learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
I made notes, by the way. I'm just scratching these off as we go here because I'm an old dude. I'll tell you another thing we learned a lot about. And this goes back to, COVID. Everybody's coming back from, and now we're talking about a Delta variant. We're going back and whatever. I'll tell you something. Working together is important. Okay, so let me expand on that. What does that mean? That means okay, I got a band in here that think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they've got an attitude this big, man. Like, yeah, dude, you know what? We'll get here when we get here. We'll start. So I'm gonna tell you something. This sounds like your father, but I'm gonna tell you this: be polite, be courteous, fair. Okay, what's fair? Well, we want X amount of money tonight. You know what? You're not worth that. Maybe you're not. Maybe you are. Well, but if you are, I'm sure people are going to be willing to pay. Club owners, I mean, consider it. Don't trash the guy's place. Don't trash the dressing room.
The green room. Yeah. Don't
That's
be
for the Van Halens. And when you're Van Halen, you can do shit like that, right?
Yeah, you gotta get that.
Be honest. Trustworthy and responsible.
Yeah.
This creates a much better working environment. Hey, when somebody tells you, hey, your start time is 10 o'clock, start at 10 o'clock. Start at 10 o'clock, man.
ready at
rolling
9:59.
there 20 after.
I tried when I was running sound, my biggest thing was like on time.
Absolutely.
And I was always concerned. My biggest concern wasn't the fans, because by 12, 1, 2 in the morning, they're shit-faced. They don't care what it sounds like. It was the professionals that I knew were going to be leaving, other bands that I want to work with, other people, that will leave the show, that I'm like, I want those people to recognize how the sound is, because they're going to be the ones that are going to make me money later or get me money.
I got a quiz for you, and I know you're going to pass this with flying colors. When do you lose most people at a show?
I feel like that can be a very question. Me personally, I would say,
just off the top of your head, what do you think most people are going, okay, let's go to another place?
Probably after they saw who they wanted to see.
Possibly. Yeah, that's a very valid answer. Let's say this. Let's just say there's only one band. Let's just say it's a single band night. When are people going to leave? How about when you take a break?
Yeah, intermission.
How about when you're a half-hour break?
Yeah, you don't
haven't heard the band.
Take a break.
Yeah. People go, when's the band going back? I don't know. They've been on break for a half hour now. It's really get up there and play, I remember being in bands and I said, hey, we're not taking a break. They go, oh, what do you mean we're not taking a break? I said, we're not taking a break. I said, first of all, that's when people leave, number one. And number two, a 10-minute break turns into a 20-minute break, turns into a 30-minute break, and we're not doing that. We're not doing that program, okay? And if you don't like it, then you're not going to be in this band. You okay with that? Oh, I guess so. And so we kept people, we would not take breaks, and people stayed there and they were out on the floor the whole time. I'm telling you, it works. When you go see a concert, how many breaks do you see the band take for in an hour and a half concert or a 2-hour concert?
I've seen several, and normally if it's a bigger band, they got that encore happening, and sometimes that never ends up happening. Everybody's just like, F it, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
When you go see a major act, how many breaks do you see them take? That's what I'm asking.
Maybe one, if not zero.
Have you ever seen like a concert like Aerosmith or Van Halen or anything like that?
I feel like, there's always somebody up there doing solo something while the singer's off getting a drink, whatever.
Damn.
Keeping him
Johnny, tell him what he's doing.
Yeah.
Man, you got it right on the head, man. So the whole idea is this. You are there to entertain, keep them entertained the whole time. If you got to go take a pee break, that's okay. Everybody gets their turn. All right. You got a drum solo. You got a guitar solo. You can do all kinds of stuff with that. Stay on stage.
You
Really?
can also tell who's confident and who's not about their playing, because the bands who can't do that are typically the musicians and the artists you see that are like looking down on the ground while they're playing. Like it's all they can do to focus on what they're doing. If they look up at their wife or whoever, somebody yells boobs and they look, they lose their whole chain. If they fumble. I've seen artists drop picks and have to stop and figure out, like, it's
Learn
crazy.
how to play at home.
Mhm.
When you go to the clubs, entertain. You know, and you can't entertain if you're doing this, can you?
Right. Who are
Yeah.
you playing to? Ask yourself.
Learn your instrument at home. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing's really a misnomer, if you ask me. Everybody thinks, oh, it's grungy or raw or raw. You know what? There's a difference between sounding raw and being unpolished. When you're polished, now you look like a professional act. Absolutely. And you're worthy. Now you're more worthy of what you would like to make, But if you think you can jump up there and it's like you're at band practice in your garage and people treat it as such, it's bullshit. Sorry, and you're not worth anything. I wanted to bring this up too.
Mike.
Boobs. I saw a lot of groups in my day would come out with some really kindergarten looking promotional materials. Like, I got a cousin, man, who does this and he'll do it for like $20, man, whatever. And guess what? Unless he really does it for a living and that's his forte, it looks like a $20 job. Hire a professional, do whatever you got to do, pump a little bit more gas, whatever you got to do, get the money, get some promotional materials, because when it comes down to it, we're talking about an image. Your image on stage is just as important, or I should say your image on now the web, all this kind of stuff is just as important as your image on stage.
Yeah, your EPK is what people are going to look at before they even walk in the door now.
Yeah. I mean, and if they don't like what's on the wrapper, they're not going to even check out what's inside. You know what I mean?
That's how I base my show. Yeah.
Like a candy bar, man.
Yeah.
If the wrapper doesn't look good, you're not. If this doesn't look good, the album cover doesn't look good, you're not probably going to even buy it. Make sure your promo stuff is right. Hire a professional. That's just something I saw. I want to make a point of that.
What do you have to say about venues when they have their own sound guy and bands come in and they're like,
no, I hate that, and I'll tell you why. And we were forced to do that sometimes, and we really did everything we could to prevent that from happening. Because first of all, one thing about a sound guy, he may know how to do sound, and that's fine, but he doesn't know your song, or maybe he does know your songs, or maybe you do it a certain way. He doesn't know who's coming on and doing what, unless he's so familiar with the song or whatever. And maybe you do something a little different that needs to be a boost, on the guitar, whatever, or this guy, he doesn't know. And he can't make you sound the way you want to sound. It's just the way it is. If you're forced to do that, well, then you're forced to do that. But those sort of situations aren't very attractive to me, because anywhere I play that I don't sound the way I want to sound, or I want my group to sound, doesn't do you any favors. You're only as good as your last game or your last show. People are going to remember that. And I would say, great, house system, that's fine. You got some quality gear, we can work with it, but check it out before you go. Have your sound man, and by the way, have a good sound man who's trained, not just, my cousin Johnny, who happens to know how to throw a few toggles and sliders around. Have him check it out before you go to the club. Scope the place out. They're scoping you out. You can scope them out too.
Mike Bates, as a singer, I don't like that. I deal with it because that's how it is for me most of the time. I have a pedal for effects, but no one likes to deal with that either.
There you go.
I will say this, and I'm going to name drop right now because I'm confident that me dropping his name, isn't going to do him any damage. My man Johnny Warner. Now he He started off doing sound in places, but he is the type that brings his own equipment. Like he brings his own board, brings all the stuff in. And prior to the show, he has a meeting with each of the bands to go over with, and he's got an iPad or a touch pad where he just goes through
He's going through the pin list. He's going through the stage plot, everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And he takes the time to make sure that, before the show and even during the show, if there needs to be change, they can give him a cue and he'll do whatever, know. And not always are you going to get that. And I think that's, like it's like a 1%er club for sound.
When we did bigger shows, we would always have to submit well, there's any kind of venue. I mean, I'm just thinking of Taste of Chicago. I think that was our last show with the big band I had a 20-piece 1970s show band. It was called Captain Groovy. We did all the 70s tunes. We had outfits and everything. I don't know if you got a picture of that, Roxy. I think you do. It's kind of funny. You're going to kick out of that. So you can imagine what the pin list was like for that group. Now, 2 of those were dancers. I get it. But you can imagine what the pin list was like that. I mean, microphones and sends and, direct inputs, all that kind of stuff. But the stage plot was a little bit, people are going, holy shit, you need a 40 by 24 stage? Really? But we did. But all that stuff was submitted beforehand. So the sound men, the sound engineer, front of house guy, and the monitor mix engineer, they all knew what was going on. They all had, documents. They go, okay, we got their notes, we got the layout, bam, bam, bam. That helps a lot. But the fact that this Johnny fellow goes back and talks to the band, he really wants to do a good job, and you can see that he's passionate about what he's doing and he cares.
Yep.
Huge, makes a huge difference.
I like that. My tone is my tone. Took me a long time to develop the sound I wanted. Just saying. And
absolutely.
Kudos to you, man, because there are so many artists, bands, musicians, sound engineers that have yet to do that. They just show up and go through the motions. So that shows what kind of a person you are to sit down and learn that much. So that's pretty awesome.
On behalf of the club owners, here's the concern. I don't want some bozo coming up there and blowing my stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can understand. I mean, it's expensive stuff. Yeah, it's expensive stuff. That's why I say have a reputable sound man who knows what he's doing, and the club owner is familiar with him or has seen him knows that he knows what he's doing or whatever. It makes a huge difference. Then the club owner is more likely to say, absolutely, I know Joe, bring him in, or Johnny or whoever, bring him in. He can be your son. Now you're cooking with gas, right? Makes a huge difference. One other thing in promo, and we used to do this, and this was my weirdity, I guess. But I'd say, look, hey, John, the ads you do for the bar, when the band's going to play on this such and such a night, can we as a band go in there and record this commercial? It's more personalized that way. They go, well, let's talk about it. So we talked about it. And we actually ended up reading some of the copy that the station came up with, at this time, and here's the opening band, blah, blah, blah. They let us do that. It's pretty cool. Some club owners would think, hey, that's great. And in fact, I think many would. You've got the band on the radio saying, hey, come see us Friday night, blah, blah, blah. It's definitely something that works. But you really have to have a good relationship with the venue manager or club owner or whatever you're dealing with. But it's a pretty cool idea. Another thing we used to do, and a lot of bands do, have a contest. So, Antman, you're saying, hey, man, you got a guitar solo, you got a drum solo, we got a contest. Something's going on the whole time, not just some cheesy music playing in the background, or maybe it's not cheesy music, but there's something going on stage.
Visual, yeah.
Absolutely. They're being entertained visually as well as audibly. Do a contest. No, wet t-shirt. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some kind of, you can do a trivia. You can do a contest where you can do all kinds of things. Be creative. Be creative, man. And then have prizes. give them something, give them a t-shirt, give them whatever.
Yeah.
Have something.
It's an
And
engagement.
you ought to be able to afford to give some promotional things away. Absolutely. Or for your free CD or your latest CD, whatever. I don't know. People, maybe they don't even do CDs anymore. Just saying, give them something, I mean, you can even do $20 cash, whatever.
My
or
buddy,
free drinks at the bar, or tickets, whatever.
my buddy owns a venue in Las Vegas. It's really small in comparison to what's surrounding him, and he had to figure out a way to get people in. So he went got 2 money guns, the ones you see all the hot girls shooting money around. He went and got those and put Monopoly money in it, but put one odd bill in it, and whoever found that odd bill throughout the night would get free drinks for an hour.
Double thumbs up. That's the way to do it right there. Absolutely. And I know there's been a thing, where, well, we can't give away free booze in some states. I've played states like that, and things happen. You go, okay, so we won't do this for booze. We'll do it for money, and nobody can say you can't give away money. Just, So, but yeah, you can always work with what you got to work with. Be creative, and just like you said, man, anything like that to keep people's interest or keep them in the program. Let's say, hey, yeah, we're all.
You're there to perform, right? It's a performance, so
it's exactly right. You're
lacking that.
You're entertaining. Keep them entertained.
Yeah.
Theater of the mind. I've always said theater of the mind.
Now, when you get done with the show, bands going back to the dressing room, man. I don't want to see anybody want to talk to me. Let me tell you something. You stick around and you talk to people. You shake their hands. You thank them for coming. Let them know you appreciate them being there. They don't owe you anything. You're out there trying to perform for them. They're the customer. They're the client, if you will. Get it like that.
I love that. That's definitely a admirable trait.
They're supporting you. Or maybe they're there to get drunk. Doesn't make any difference, but their money is going to support you. Okay? Tell them you appreciate that. And be polite, be courteous, don't swear at them like, F this, no, just be normal. You don't have to be an idiot to be a great entertainer or a great rock band, I mean, you've heard interviews.
Yeah.
But yeah, the meet and greet after the show, you don't have to sit at a table and sign autograph. I'm just saying, meet and greet just means just that. Go meet people, greet them. Hey, how you doing? How'd you like the show?
The exit door, man. Bring your security, whoever your boyfriends are for the evening, and come stand by the door and welcome everybody out.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Yeah. How'd you like the show? Ask them, how'd you like the show? Maybe they're going to lie to you, but that's okay. You sparked the conversation. And guess what? They got to talk to you, the guitarist, man. Right. They're kind of feeling pretty good about that too, right? Mm-hmm. It's a win-win situation.
Or you can even do it before you even get up on stage and perform, and you can go up there and they'll be like, I was just talking to that dude. He's on stage now.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, but if you'd have to do it well in advance, because most people, and I say you should be, backstage warming up, before the show, getting warm. So you're not really going to have much of an opportunity to do that before the show. That's an after the show thing.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, Roxy, and you're right, but that's where the guy like Antman was saying, the guy in the door is greeting people. Hey, man, good to see you. Hey, thanks for coming. Enjoy the show. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. That little courtesy thing goes a long way, but most people are going to be warming up before the show. At least they should be.
They have their rituals. They have their little pre-game rituals that they all do, and
absolutely.
Like another artist I know, like personally, like has to wear these particular socks to go on stage.
Yeah. Everybody's hey, baseball players do it all the time, right?
Yeah. All right.
Superstitious thing. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much most of what I got here. Again, stick to the breaks, man. I mean, if you're going to take a break, then it's going to be 10 minutes and take a 10-minute break. Don't take a 20-minute break. Start on time. Try not to repeat songs. It shouldn't really be that major of a feat to learn 30 or 40 songs, whatever. I mean, how many you're playing, how many hours you're playing. We used to play 4-hour jobs. With the big band that I had there, we did 2.5-hour show. And we would do a solid 2.5-hour show. We didn't take any breaks, straight through, just like a concert, just like you see Van Halen or whatever, straight through. I mean, that's just the way I felt it should be done. And nobody left.
Right.
People just kept coming in. Nobody left. It's like,
what you want. That is what
magic.
you want.
Well, nowadays the shows are more and more all ages. So you have to keep in mind that you're not just playing to some old, no offense to anybody out there. You're not playing to somebody older who's just there to enjoy it. You could potentially be influencing somebody's life choices.
Absolutely.
Those kids could inspire to want to be you, and you'll never know because you never took the time to find out and talk to know your fans.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a great point. This is a weird thing, and I don't know if I should mention this. Not a weird thing, but my band, Captain Groovy. By the way, our band had why can't I think of his name? Fred Puglia. Fred Puglia managed Lou Graham, lead singer of Foreigner. And so we had a great manager in our corner, and he knew everybody. He had us booked in Wales. He had us booked in Mexico and everything. But I'll tell you something. One of the things that I said right off the bat, and he was like, bam, right with me on it, is I said, I don't want to start shows. And this is just me. This is just a private thing. We did a lot. We put on our own concerts. I don't want to start a show at 10 o'clock at night, because the people and you got to remember, you got to say, who are you playing for? Are you playing for 21-year-olds? Or are you playing for 31-year-olds or 41-year-olds or whatever? In our case, we were playing for an older crowd. So let's start the damn shows at 7:30, whatever. Let's get people go home, enough time to get off work, whatever. And usually we're on Saturday, so they weren't working anyway, but they get to dinner and they go to the show. So we're starting the things at 7:30, and people are done by 10:30. The venue's done or the show's over. Everybody's home. You're going to get more people out there if you realize and how do I want to say this? Make everything sort of work together. We got an older crowd. Let's start early, because they're not going to want to stay out there. Because a lot of people say, I can't stay up until midnight, man. And, I'm 40-some-year-old. We got kids or whatever. So the babysitter can go home early. Blam, you can go out and do.
What do you say to 4 bands that are on a bill, and there are members and other people bowing out early? What are your thoughts on 4 bands on a bill, 2 bands left at the end of the night? There's only a handful of people to support each other.
Then I would say, what's going on there? Why are people leaving? And analyze that. And are they playing the same style of music? Is the talent all about the same level? Or is it just too damn late?
Yeah.
What's going on? There's got to be a reason that they're leaving. And you know what? If you don't know, and you see these people go, hey man, why did you guys cut out? Was it what? Band suck or what? Just start the conversation. They'll tell you. Oh,
Yep.
it was. They'll tell you.
You can
And
get
most of them want to be asked.
Well,
Mhm.
I will say this. I will stick up for the moms and dads who have to work because they're breadwinners or whatever. That's cool. I'm talking about the mofos that talk a big keyboard game about being at the show, supporting the show. Oh, this, oh, that. And then or they're so hammered that they can't be part of everything. Then your bandmates are babysitting you, and that's just a whole another. Yeah, that's for a whole nother show.
It is. You're right, Antman. I'm going to tell you something. If I could count how many times I've been in bands with lead singers, I don't know. I always had a problem with lead singers, and I don't want to pick on those guys, but it seems like by and large they're the people with the biggest attitudes and the biggest problems. It's an ego thing. And I mean, I get it. You're the center of attention. You're the man, the Steven Tylers and the David Lee Ross and the same. They're the guys everybody recognizes of, oh my gosh, But I'll tell you something. If you got that kind of problem and you're in a band with somebody, replace them.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen, and this happened to me, what's going to happen is you're going to have a job, and it's going to be a great big job, and it's going to be the biggest job you've ever done. And that guy's going to be stoned out of his mind, whether it's on alcohol or drugs, and he's going to screw you because he's going to be super anxious got a lot of anxiety, and he's not going to be able to handle it. He's going to have to medicate a little bit more, and he's going to come on stage and embarrass you.
Yeah.
I saw that with Steven Tyler, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith one show, and it wasn't because of that, but he was just, and I was embarrassed for the band.
Yeah.
I mean, for the rest of the band. And then there was a fist fight involved, and that's a whole long story. But if you got a person like that in a band who's not mature enough to realize that he's, performing and has a responsibility. In fact, I've got that on the sheet. Be responsible. Be responsible. And get him out of the band.
Yeah.
It's not worth the trouble. I don't care if he does sing like $1 million. He's not worth the trouble.
Yeah.
You can't rely on him.
Yeah, you can't poison the positivity or the success, and
it's not worth the price. It's just not. So,
Mhm.
it comes down to it. You're artists, yes, but you're also businessmen or business people. How's that? You have to wear both hats.
That's a great way to look at it as we wrap up the show tonight. Is you're wearing multiple hats. You're business people, you're business person. You have to take all these variables in and learn them to the best of your ability, because you are the one that's going to make things happen. You can't lean on somebody else. You got to do it.
3 elements to this. The club owners, the bands have to work together to please the people, the audience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The club owners need the bands need the club owners, and everybody needs the people. So the better you work together.
Yep. And so, that is what we're here for. We're learning together, growing together, learning great information from people who've been there and done it, like CW. He's definitely have conquered that scenario. And
thanks, CW. It was fun, man.
We really appreciate we appreciate your outlook on this tonight. We're going to have you back again for sure.
Can you handle me again? Oh my God. It's like,
I haven't even gotten started.
No, I don't feel like that either.
I haven't even got started.
That's great.
Like, the boss lady rules the roost over here. Like, yeah. So I had to stay on track. I had a mission tonight. But yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
All right. So everybody, I want you to make sure you tune in next week. Antman, you got any insight on what's happening next week?
You'll see. We got something. I got
something.
something.
No. We always got something up our sleeve, don't we, Antman?
Yep. And I will be giving away another gift card next week. So be watching for that. I'm gonna get with Roxy to go over the details of how we're gonna do that. And honestly, I just want to give a shout out to Dale, Mike, Nancy, Rebel, Thomas, everybody coming and hanging out, man. All y'all supporting us every week. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all that you do, and we love you. We
do. Make sure you also check out CW Goetz with his camping show. You can look on our station W4CY or Talk 4 Media and just search the camping show. You'll find it. He's great.
I'm gonna go find him right after the show.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then we'll see you guys next week here on W4CY Talk 4 TV and Music Familiar Productions. Stay amazing, my friends. Bye.
See you, fam.